Tim Settle is back with the Commanders, and he's not the same player who left, hungrier, stronger, and more ruthless. This isn't just a signing, it's a declaration. The trenches will tremble and the offense won't know what hit them. The question is, can anyone survive his comeback? And what he's promising this season, it's about to change the entire NFC East. It's been years since Tim Settle first walked through these doors, fresh out of the draft, wide-eyed and full of potential. Back then, it was all about proving himself, finding his place, and learning what it really meant to be in the NFL. But today is different. Today, he's not just a player coming back to a team he knows, he's a force returning to make a statement. The moment he stepped into the building again, you could see it, that surreal mix of nostalgia, pride, and focus. This isn't a casual homecoming. This is the moment where all the experiences, all the battles, and all the lessons collide. It's the same locker room, the same stadium, the same city, but Tim Settle is different. He's no longer the rookie looking around for guidance. He's the veteran who's faced adversity, dominated in the trenches, and learned how to turn every challenge into fuel. And it shows, the respect, the energy, the confidence it radiates from him. He knows what it takes to win. He's seen the playoffs. He felt the sting of injury and the hunger that comes with being sidelined. Coming back here isn't about comfort, it's about purpose. It's about taking everything he's learned over the last 4 seasons and pouring it into this team. The question on everyone's mind, how will this new Tim Settle impact the Commanders? How will his experience, his mindset, and his relentless drive shift the balance in the NFC East? Fans can feel it coming, a sense that this is more than just a signing. This is a return with intent, a player on a mission to dominate, disrupt, and remind the league that when he steps on the field, he's not just participating, he's commanding. And what's coming next, once he's fully back in the trenches, it's going to leave opposing offenses scrambling, because the new Tim Settle isn't just home, he's ready to take control. And if you think this is just a nostalgic homecoming, you haven't seen what he's planning for this season. When you talk about leadership in the NFL, it's one thing to coach, it's another thing to inspire. And for Tim Settle, returning to the Commanders isn't just about familiar faces or a hometown vibe. It's about the man leading the charge, Dan Quinn. Tim doesn't just see a coach, he sees a battlefield general, someone who gets in the trenches and sets the tone by example. He remembers watching a game last season. Quinn got in the middle of a play, took a hit, got knocked down in front of everyone. Most people would have paused, shaken it off, maybe needed a second to recover. Not Quinn. He bounced right back, stood tall, and kept going as if nothing happened. For Settle, that moment wasn't just inspiring, it was defining. That's the kind of resilience he wants to embody. That's the type of leader he's willing to follow into battle. Because in the trenches of football, respect isn't given, it's earned. And when your coach shows the same dog mentality he expects from his players, it changes everything. It sets a standard. It builds a culture of toughness, commitment, and fearlessness. Tim talks about wolves in a pack. There's always that one alpha, the one leader who sets the pace. Dan Quinn is that alpha. Seeing him get back up after collisions, seeing him fight through adversity on the field, it sends a message. We don't back down, we don't quit, and we go to war together. That mentality resonates with Settle because he's cut from the same cloth. Physical, relentless, aggressive. He thrives in that environment where effort meets expectation and toughness meets accountability. It's more than just football. It's about the culture, the leadership, and the mentality of a team that refuses to lose. And for Tim Settle, following that kind of leadership isn't optional, it's essential. It's what will push him to dominate the trenches, elevate his teammates, and make sure every snap matters. And if you thought leadership was just about calling plays from the sideline, wait until you see the kind of chaos this dog mentality is about to unleash. Tim Settle's fire on the field, that doesn't just come from drills, film, or practice, it starts at home. His father is the backbone of his mindset, the voice that shaped the relentless competitor we see today. Tim doesn't sugarcoat it. His dad taught him to take everything personal, to channel every slight, every challenge, every piece of doubt into fuel. Growing up, there was no beating around the bush. Conversations about football weren't casual, they were life lessons, full of intensity and honesty. If Tim did something right, he got praised. If he did something wrong, there was no hiding from the truth. That discipline built more than skills, it built character, toughness, and the mental edge that separates good players from elite ones. Tim talks about guidance the way most players talk about playbooks. His dad didn't just coach him technically, he taught him to lead himself, to understand that you can only go as far as the people you follow and the choices you make. He learned that discipline is invisible in the moment, but it shows up every time the lights are on, the crowd is loud, and the opponent is gunning for you. And it's not just about rules or technique, it's about mentality. Tim's dad instilled that alpha mindset, that relentless hunger. He's physical on the field, aggressive in the trenches, and he doesn't shy away from contact or challenge. That dog mentality Tim speaks about, that's a direct reflection of the lessons learned around the dinner table, the garage, and the backyard, long before the NFL lights ever turned on. What's remarkable is how this foundation fuels every decision he makes now, on the field, in free agency, and in life. It's the reason he returned to the Commanders with confidence. It's the reason he's ready to dominate, not just play. Every snap, every collision, every pursuit of a quarterback or tackle is powered by the guidance of a father who didn't just raise a player, he raised a warrior. And if you think this is just about lessons from home, wait until you see how that mindset is about to take over the NFC East. When Tim Settle first stepped onto an NFL field, he was a rookie full of potential, but also uncertainty. Fresh out of the draft 5th round, he was looking for guidance, searching for someone to run with him to show him the ropes. Every play, every snap, every whistle was a lesson. He was learning the speed, the physicality, and the mental toughness it takes to survive and eventually dominate in this league. Fast forward a few seasons and the transformation is undeniable. That wide-eyed rookie, gone. In his place is a player who knows exactly what he brings to the table and isn't afraid to impose his will. Tim has spent years testing himself against the best offensive linemen, refining his technique and sharpening his instincts. But more importantly, he's learned the mental side of football, how to anticipate, how to strategize, and how to dominate physically without hesitation. The injury that sidelined him last season, it didn't break him, it taught him. Sitting out watching from the sidelines, he realized the value of patience, preparation, and perspective. It's one thing to play football when your body is moving, it's another to grow mentally when you're forced to pause. That pause gave him a new edge, a hunger that isn't just about proving himself to opponents, but about proving himself to himself. Now returning to the Commanders, that rookie uncertainty is replaced with relentless confidence. He knows the league, he knows the style of play, and he knows how to dominate the trenches. Every opponent he faces now encounters a Tim Settle who doesn't just play the game, he dictates it. He has the mindset of a warrior, aggressive, strategic, and unstoppable when focused. Fans are about to witness a player who's no longer learning, but leading, punishing, and setting the tone for the entire defense. Tim Settle isn't just back, he's back with authority, experience, and an unshakable confidence that comes from growing through every battle, every snap, and every adversity. And when he steps onto that field this season, the question isn't if he'll dominate, it's who will survive standing in his way. In the NFL, injuries aren't just physical, they're mental, emotional, and sometimes career-defining. For Tim Settle, last season ended not with triumph, but with a pause he never expected. A player like him, a force in the trenches, someone who thrives on contact and chaos, being sidelined isn't just frustrating, it's almost unthinkable. The adrenaline, the competition, the rush of the game, it all stops. And for a player built to dominate, that void can feel unbearable. But here's the thing about Tim Settle. He doesn't view setbacks the same way most players do. To him, being hurt wasn't an end, it was a lesson, a new battlefield. During those weeks off the field, he didn't just rest. He observed, learned, and reflected. He thought about every battle he'd fought since he was 4 years old, every ounce of toughness instilled in him by his father, and every game that tested his will. He realized that adversity isn't something to fear, it's fuel. Watching others play, studying the nuances of offensive lines, and even examining his own previous performances, Tim gained a new perspective. He started to see football differently, not just as a game, but as a puzzle where mental sharpness meets physical dominance. That injury forced him to pause, yes, but it also gave him time to sharpen his mind, rebuild his body, and approach the game with renewed focus. Settle has said it himself, he's grateful for that injury. It allowed him to look at life and football through a lens of appreciation. He learned patience, resilience, and perspective. He embraced recovery, understanding that being off the field didn't make him weaker, it made him stronger in ways most can't see. His goal wasn't just to return, it was to return better, smarter, and hungrier. Now back with the Commanders, that hunger has transformed into action. Every snap he takes this season will carry the weight of lessons learned, adversity overcome, and preparation perfected. The trenches are his proving ground, and every opponent will feel the difference of a player who's turned setbacks into fuel. Tim Settle isn't just back from injury, he's evolved. He's focused, fearless, and ready to dominate in a way only someone who's truly tested can. And when the first whistle blows this season, the league will realize the Tim Settle they knew is gone, replaced by a relentless force forged in adversity, ready to leave a mark no one can ignore. When Tim Settle talks about goals, he doesn't talk about stats. He doesn't talk about highlight reels. He talks about dominance, about control, about leaving a mark that the league can't ignore. Returning to the Commanders isn't just a homecoming, it's a mission. And his mission? Nothing less than Super Bowl contention. Tim doesn't predict numbers, he predicts impact. Every snap is a chance to assert his will, to disrupt defenses, to set the tone for his teammates. For him, being a defensive lineman isn't just about individual glory. It's It's about creating chaos, forcing mistakes, and lifting the entire defense to levels most can't even imagine. He wants the Commanders to be feared, respected, and recognized as one of the top defenses in the NFL, week in and week out. The mindset he brings to the field is simple. Execute your task at the highest level, impose your presence, and let everything else follow. He lines up, locks in, and plays with a physicality that few can match. But it's not mindless aggression, it's strategic, disciplined, and designed to change the flow of the game. Settle's approach is almost surgical. He identifies weaknesses, attacks with precision, and forces offenses to adapt to him. And when he dominates the line of scrimmage, everyone around him benefits. The linebackers, the secondary, even the coaching staff's game plan. But there's more to this ambition than just on-field execution. For Tim, the Super Bowl isn't a dream, it's a mindset. He understands what it takes to get there, having played in the playoffs and knowing firsthand the discipline, consistency, and sacrifice required. This isn't about being flashy. It's about being relentless, unyielding, and prepared for every challenge. Every drill, every rep, every practice is preparation for the moment when it all matters most. And he's not just thinking about himself. Settle's goal is to elevate the Commanders as a whole. He wants this defense to dominate, disrupt, and create opportunities for his teammates. He wants to be a force that others have to game plan around, someone whose presence on the field shifts the balance of power in the NFC East, and ultimately in the playoffs. Because when Tim Settle says he's going to the Super Bowl, this isn't a wish, it's a declaration. And the question now is, who in the league is ready to stop him?